Alright, hello and welcome to FBR server hangout. As always, this is a quick rundown of some of last month's events, some of our current events, and some of our plans for the future. And this is entirely made possible by our very generous patrons. I can't thank you guys enough. And if you'd like to join me in future State of the Server hangouts, feel free to check out the link below. Up on today's agenda, we have some of last month's events, including a rather odd player base decline, some current events, including today's downtime, a major update to StarryPie 3K, and of course, the upgrade work. This is again in plans for the future, as well as some plans for 1.3. And as always, we'll end it out with some open discussion. So, about this player base decline. This is something that started to really become evident about maybe a month ago. It's that it seems the global Starbound community is shrinking, significantly at that. Over the last 3 months, there's been a nearly a 50% decline in active player counts. This is possibly a high number, just because there seems to be a bit of a spike at the beginning of those 3 months, but the lowest number that I could come up with, and this is including all of the stats that I have, was about a third of the online community that has just become inactive. And this is a quick little graph showing the last 3 months. It's not the easiest thing to make out, but that little yellow line there is that steady decline that I was talking about. Oddly enough, this does not seem to affect us. This is a kind of pattern that we normally have. It's pretty much what we've had for the last, I guess, 1.5 years at this point. So, I guess we're doing something right, but it's something to keep in mind, is that the Starbound multiplayer community doesn't seem to be doing so hot. Moving on, we've got current events, including today's downtime. That was not fun. All services went offline at about 0500 UTC, and they were down until 1210 UTC. This appears to have been caused by a kernel panic, and if you're familiar with Linux and kernel panics, you're probably aware that that's not a good thing. So, but we have recent backups, including off-site recent backups. In fact, I think an off-site backup was made, maybe 4 hours before this happened. But still, not good at all. This also exposed a rather severe bug in Star Control's TempFS management. It's I guess what makes New Haven not slow as molasses. But it kind of transported New Haven 3 months back in time. So that was interesting. But again, regular backups restored it. Everything's perfectly fine. As for the kernel panic, I have a little sneaking suspicion that it may have been caused by some hardware failure. I've been seeing some odd little artifacts in some of the logging that I do, and does not bode well. So hopefully we can get to our new hardware pretty soon. But worst case scenario, we have backups. Moving on, we've got some major updates to StarryPie 3K. Meteor 413 has been doing tons of work, including a complete overhaul of our permission system, or StarryPie 3K's permission system. He made it super granular and it's wonderful. He also added entity message blacklisting. This probably doesn't sound very important, but it really is. This is what allows a lot of quote-unquote hacked clients to execute most of their attacks. It's these entity messages. But now we have a fairly robust framework for blacklisting these, so that's pretty great. And yeah, like I said. Additionally, it seems that he may have squashed pretty much all of the player location bugs. This is stuff like ships being improperly claimed, slash planet failing, all that terrible stuff. Hopefully that's all been fixed. We'll just have to kind of wait and see, but hopefully it's done. Moving on, right, it's called /year now. Forgot about that. Yeah, upgrade work. Currently I'm still working on core infrastructure. I'm down to provisioning and looking for a forms replacement now. But once this is done, speed should pick up pretty quickly, because a lot of this it's used heavily in all of the further steps, and it will make all of those further steps quite a bit faster. So once this is all done, it should be pretty much in the home stretch. Again, plans for the future, more upgrade work. It's coming. Specifically, I'd really like to get actually get the hardware purchased at this point. Start looking into that, or start making a move on it more. Of course, I don't want to do that too early and end up like FA with a server just sitting there that a whole bunch of people paid a lot of money for. Rather avoid that. Right. We're also looking to open source Star Control. We're going to contribute to society by dumping our bash abomination on it, but that's going to have to wait a little bit. So I'd like to do a very in-depth security audit on it. Information security is kind of what I do, so I'm fairly confident that there won't be any issues, but again, I'd like to go over it and make sure that open sourcing this software won't increase our attack surface at all. But this is by no means critical. And last but not least, we have our plans for 1.3. It's quite clear that we will not be wiping the universe unless we are pretty much forced to do so. As nice as it would be to reset the mod pack and not have something that's so bloated, it seems that everyone's just far too attached to the universe to do that. So we're going to do our best to keep it. We still have no ETA on when the update's coming. As far as I know, there hasn't been an unstable build for it, but once that happens, it should be a couple weeks away. I'm also expecting a pretty significant player base spike from this. I'm not sure if it will be something like that 50% that of the community that kind of went away coming back. I really hope that's not the case, but there will definitely be a spike. So hopefully we can be on our new hardware by then, so that we can actually have the facilities to deal with a spike in player counts. But we'll just have to wait and see. This is highly dependent on when the update is released. I think that's about it, so I guess we'll move into some open discussion. If there's anything you'd like to cover, something that I didn't, or any questions you want to ask, now's the time. Yeah. I guess that's kind of a good thing. There hasn't really been any events worth noting, so yeah, I guess if no one has anything to add, we can wrap it up. Wait a little bit longer just to make sure, but if not, we'll wrap up. All right. Well, I guess that's it. So, thank you for coming. I hope that you guys at least found this somewhat informative, and I hope to see you on the server. Until next time.